Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to welcome you all to this webinar by Jose Pacheco, who is a co-director of our MEng program. I just have a few instructions before we actually start with the webinar. So please make sure to keep your audio off, and this webinar will be recorded. So please keep your videos off if you don't prefer to get recorded. And if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box and we'll get to your questions towards the end. If for some reason we do not get to your questions or we miss it, or if you have any questions that may not be addressed during the webinar, please feel free to reach out to us either via MicroMasters support or our email helplines. Over to you, Jose.
All right, thank you, Aditi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this short seminar or webinar on the principles of manufacturing MicroMasters and how it connects to both the MIT master's degree upon which it's based and some of the pathway schools that I'll talk about. We have a short amount of content so that we can get to questions. I'm sure there's quite a few. And so I look forward to interacting with you on that. In addition to myself, Professor David Hart, who is the faculty director of the program, is here with us as well. And of course, Aditi. So let me get started just right away and start with some definitions. The first is, you probably already know, but it's worth reminding everyone what a MicroMasters is, despite the fact that it has masters in the title. It's a non-degree credential offered by edX, but it does provide a deep learning in a particular career field. And obviously, we're talking about manufacturing today. And they're based on a graduate level curriculum from different universities around the world. And after completing the MicroMasters, students are able to apply, and if accepted, so it's important to note that it's not an automatic acceptance. However, it can help, certainly, in the application process. Students can then pursue a master's degree at an accelerated pace and also at less cost because they save themselves about a semester, in some cases, a little less or a little more, depending on the university, of the equivalent semester cost at that university. Now, the MicroMasters in Advanced Manufacturing and or the Principles of Manufacturing was based on a need that we saw in the marketplace for educating engineers that have a strong interest in manufacturing, but perhaps didn't get that kind of education in their undergraduate work in engineering. And that is typically also the audience that we have for the students that apply to our Masters of Engineering in Advanced Manufacturing and Design. And so we took some of that content, as you'll see in a few minutes, and put it into the MicroMasters. We also wanted to provide a pathway for engineers that had little formal education, not only in the manufacturing, but what we call the principles of manufacturing. And for anyone that's starting a business or is running a business that interacts or is part of the manufacturing ecosystem, we thought this was also a good set of classes to offer to provide that introduction. And last but not least, our colleagues at other universities that are interested in perhaps supplementing their curriculum. More recently, we also have seen there's a strong interest from different companies that want to educate their workforce in the advances in concepts of manufacturing. So that's something that we're also very mindful of, and we're starting to develop new content for. And so that's who we developed the Principle of Manufacturing MicroMasters for. Now, starting with definitions again, I should start with trying to figure out or tell you a little bit of how we think about manufacturing. So manufacturing is the making of products using the combination of technologies and methods to meet demand, cost, quality, and flexibility. This is different than perhaps other definitions. And it's very important to note here the combination of technologies and methods. So what we talk about in the MicroMasters focus a lot on methods, right? But there's other technologies that you want to learn about, but it's this combination that we think of manufacturing in the mass production of something. So it's not about prototyping or the making of ones or twos or a few. It may be part of that as part of scaling up to creating a mass production line, for example, right? Or managing a mass production or supply chain line. Okay. And so it is not, again, making or certain technologies around the different ways of making stuff. It's also not about the current interest in automation and technologies, including some of the current themes around Industry 4.0 and factor IoT, or even machine learning and artificial intelligence. It's that combination of methods and technology. So these technologies certainly fit into that, but they are used as an input into the creation of technology. Now, the MicroMasters was developed based on the curriculum here at MIT that we have as part of the Advanced Manufacturing and Design program. So let me tell you a little bit about that right now. This degree is about 16 years since we first created it. Professor Hart was the lead faculty member in the creation of that. And now we have over 200 alumni at some of the leading companies around the world that are making stuff. And you see some of the names there, some well-known. And also over the years, we have seen more and more of our graduates from the master's degree starting companies. And you see some of the names there on the screen as well. And the idea is to attract a generation of students that are thinking about becoming leaders in the manufacturing industries that are looking for holistic structure in their professional work, but very much focus on manufacturing, that's their interest in specifically in their professional development. And so we developed the MicroMasters as a way to reduce the cost and time that is required to earn a master's degree, and certainly just to get more information or knowledge about manufacturing. And so we saw that as a major the cost and time to take away. We saw that as a major impediment to expanding the number of engineers that know about manufacturing and are very conversant in the techniques. And so that's the as we call it, the AMD program. It is a 12-month program in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. So it starts in September and ends in September. And it's done over 2 semesters, the fall and spring, and over the summer as well. So that's where the 12 months comes from. And it culminates in a Master of Engineering individual thesis, but that's done in a group project setting. I'll give you a little bit more background on the degree, because again, you'll see how then that connects to the MicroMasters degree. Sorry, to the MicroMasters credential. It's so easy to go down that route, isn't it? And so the goals of the AMD program, again, are to create technical leaders, create engineers with a system view, and provide a strong base for working in any industry. And I think this is an important concept, that the principles that we teach in the MicroMasters and in the AMD program are applicable to any industry that is making things. And so it's not specific to mechanical engineering. However, of course, being a mechanical engineering degree, it is based very much on analytical work using math and science-based methods. And to also create a sense of understanding around what's happening in different parts of the world around manufacturing. And perhaps create a impetus or some sense of confidence that you can't start a manufacturing company. And so to also stimulate entrepreneurship in manufacturing. The MicroMasters credential is based on the AMD curriculums. I said it starts obviously with the individual work you've already done as an engineer in your undergraduate work. And what we do in the AMD degree is add 4 components to, as we think about the MEng curriculum or the AMD curriculum, around manufacturing physics, manufacturing systems, product design, and business. And it culminates, as I already mentioned, with teamwork in a group setting that then allows for a thesis project to be done. With this background, let me delve a little deeper into how that translates into the overall curriculum and then the MicroMasters curriculum. So here's what the subjects are, the classes that are part of the curriculum of the AMD degree. Again, using these 4 components as a basis around manufacturing systems. Physics, we have 3 classes or subjects, as we call them here at MIT, around process optimization and control, manufacturing materials and processes, and manufacturing or a design elective. We also have manufacturing systems, and so obviously introduction to manufacturing systems, supply chain and design, and then 2 classes around business fundamentals, the management for engineers class, and then a professional seminar on global manufacturing, innovation, and entrepreneurship. We also have a design and product development class that's required as part of the curriculum. In addition to that, as I already mentioned, is this group project in industry. Now, with this curriculum, what you see here on the screen is that we looked at this curriculum, and 4 of those classes, which comprise 1 semester, is how we think of the principles of manufacturing, right? So process optimization class, the introduction to manufacturing systems, supply chain planning and design, and the management for engineers classes here in green are the basis of the MicroMasters. And so reiterating what I've mentioned before and what the principles of manufacturing are, they're at the unit or process level, at the factory or production system level, at the supply chain level, and at the company level. And again, they correspond back to our classes in the degree. And fundamentally, what we're trying to do here is teach everyone how to produce to meet customer demand and be competitive at a global level. Okay, so let's now dive into the MicroMasters. The details of the MicroMasters are that we take those classes, which again embed these 4 principles, as are in the previous slide, and we broke them up into halves. So now they comprise 8 modules in the edX platform. And they're all around, again, managing uncertainties of flow, variation, cost at the different levels. At the product level, you have 2830, 1 and 2, 2854, 1 and 2, 15762 and 15763, 2961, 1 and 2, as the MicroMasters modules, which again represent 4 classes. I mentioned the numbers here because it's MIT, everything is numbers. So, but you might know them by their names around manufacturing process control, manufacturing systems, supply chain, and management and engineering 1 and 2, respectively. Now, how do you take these classes? Oh, here's some more detail about each one of those. I'm not going to go much into the details of this so we can get to the question and answer, and perhaps I might come back to this if there are specific questions that we have around each one of these classes. However, how do you earn the credential in the principles of manufacturing? Well, first, you're required to take all 8 modules, but 6 of those modules are self-standing and can be taken without prerequisites. That is, if you look at these courses, you don't necessarily have to take, for example, 15762 before you take 15763, right? And 2961.2x is a little bit perhaps easier if you take 1x, 2.961x, but you don't have to. You can certainly take those 4 classes independent of each other if you so choose. we have set up the schedule so that if one precedes two every calendar year or academic year. But should you find yourself, you're starting with 2.9612x, you'll be fine. You can start from there. So you can start at any time during the year in your MicroMasters journey. Now, there are two classes, as you can imagine, 2830.2x and 2854.2x, so process control and manufacturing systems, two that depend a lot on the first modules. So we highly recommend that you take one before you take two, in particular for these classes. That's important because as you think about your journey, you also want to take into account when these are being offered. And so you can start planning when you will finish just based on when these are again offered. And depending on the year, sometimes we also offer 28.54.1x in the summer. And so keep an eye out for that. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, to receive the MicroMasters, you are required to finish all 8 courses, including proctored exams, and each of those classes, 2830, 2854, 2961, 15, 762, 63, each of those 4 classes has a proctored exam. So that's why there are 4 proctored exams, despite the fact that there are 8 modules. Only the 0.2x classes right now have proctored exams. Okay. So how does this then connect the MicroMasters to the Masters of Engineering in Advanced Manufacturing and Design at MIT? I'll give you a quick overview of how the master's degree timeline looks like, and then connect that to how earning a MicroMasters degree impacts the cost and length of the master's degree at MIT. So first, some important deadlines. The admissions for all students, regardless of whether you have finished, not finished, or not doing the MicroMasters, is always December 15th. And so for anyone that's thinking about applying to the MEng degree at MIT, December 15th is your deadline. You are welcome to apply even if you have not finished the MicroMasters. Perhaps you're just getting started. That's okay. We take information from the MicroMasters as a transcript like any other transcript. And so you're not required to finish the MicroMasters to apply to the master's degree at MIT. It is independent. All students are evaluated on the same credential information that's in the applications. And so required 3 recommendation letters, your transcripts, and a couple essays in this year video. And so if you're thinking about applying, not sure to the degree because you are just starting the MicroMasters, I would recommend either definitely applying or send me an email asking any specifics about your interest. Okay. So again, December 15th is important. Now, for those students that will finish the MicroMasters this year before September, if admitted to the master's degree at MIT, you will join the rest of the cohort that is here on campus in the spring semester of 2024. So not in September, but in January. And so you start in January and finish in August. There's some cohort information based on experiences in September 2023. I just noticed that typo there. I apologize. So next September, there's some virtual experiences with the rest of the cohort. And the students that do finish the MicroMasters then get credit for the first semester and then complete the second semester here on campus and do the industry project and thesis. And again, that's through August. Some additional point to mention here is that any student that has not finished the MicroMasters by September, we cannot award partial credit, if you will. And so what happens is those students that might have taken, let's say, the full classes 29611 and 2X, management and engineering 1 and 2, and are admitted to the master's degree on campus, you don't have to take that class, but you do have to show up in September. And so those students then get a waiver, but they have to replace those units with an additional or different class, I should say. Okay, so it's either kind of an all or nothing kind of thing with the MicroMasters, the way it's set up. That may be different at other universities, and so I will direct you to the website for the specifics of those universities. Okay. And of course, if you do finish the MicroMasters and then are admitted to the Masters at MIT, you finish in 7 months, 12 months. And of course, you're not responsible for the first semester's tuition either, or living cost, right? And so here's a graphic of what the current master's student journey looks like from applying in December to graduating in June of 2024. Sorry, in September 2024 and walking in 2025. And so after submitting an application, the admissions are sent out in the spring, and students have to make a decision by mid-April. The reason I mentioned that date is because it also gives you a sense of where you might be on your MicroMasters journey. And so if you're on your way to finishing your MicroMasters before the end of the spring semester, then you can let us know. And of course, you can start in January, should you be admitted. There's orientation in August. Students right now take the fall semester, those that show up on campus. They go to work with a company in the spring semester, and of course take classes from February to May. And then they work through the summer full-time at a company to finish that group thesis that's, again, resulting in an individually written thesis. And so they get their degree in September, but then walk through the commencement activities in June. Okay. The big difference, of course, for those students that have finished the MicroMasters is that they don't have to do the fall semester, right? As I already mentioned. So just a different way of looking at this information. What the graphic here in green just shows you the important things that, or the things that the MicroMasters blended students do should they be accepted. Okay. A couple other things here. Mentioned that we already do virtual activities, and the MicroMaster students participate via video conferencing as opposed to being here on campus. And then, of course, the MicroMaster students have to find housing here at MIT or outside of MIT in Cambridge during November and December. Okay. Couple other things to mention. The MicroMasters transcript can be sent as a regular transcript to the during the application process to the master's admission process here at MIT, but it's a button that you have to find in your profile that says send to a pathway school, and of course you find MIT on that list. Second is this concept of pathway schools. MIT is obviously the original pathway school. We developed the MicroMasters, as you know, in a curriculum, but there's several others. And if you go to our website, we have posted information there about the 8 other pathway schools in different parts of the world that accept the MicroMasters credential as substitute for the equivalent, usually of 1 semester's worth of work. And these pathway schools are in, again, different parts of the world, including in Portugal, in the US, in Nigeria, in Colombia, Guatemala, in Taiwan, Ghana. So different parts of the world, and they're not all master's degree in manufacturing. In fact, some of them are degrees in business, in supply chain, in so a few do offer courses in process engineering or industrial engineering. So MIT is not the only option, but of course, we hope if you are interested in MIT, you will apply. Okay. So with that, I am going to open it up for questions. I see that there is one in the chat. So Aditi, any questions at this point?
No, I don't see any questions.
Okay.
Okay. There's one question. Can you share this material with the attendees?
So this session is being recorded, and so we'll post this on the website. Right.
There's one more. Okay. Will I be able to get the recording of this session later over my email? As there's another session ongoing about carbon measurement hosted by supply chain team of MIT. Okay. Yeah, we will definitely share the recording of this session.
Any other questions?
I think this was a clarification question I did answer, but I want to again cross-check. So if learners apply for the blended program this year by December 15th, they will join the MEng cohort in Jan 2024. Is that right?
Yes, assuming they have finished the MicroMasters by then.
Okay.
And should they not have finished the MicroMasters by then they have a choice to make whether to join the cohort in September and substitute some of the classes that they've already taken, or perhaps request a deferral, which is not automatic. That has to be requested to allow them time to finish. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So with that, I do thank you, everyone. And you can see my email here on the screen. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And if you're watching this after the session and recording, I also welcome your emails as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Jose, I think I see a question.
Yes, I do.
What is the website?
That is a good question. Okay, so if you go to
I'll just probably type the link.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I don't see any more questions.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone.